Hey guys, it's the Chad, your C10 truck nerd. Well, I'm back down at the Enabler shop to work on his 68 GMC 1500, and if you guys remember, a couple years ago we scrambled to get this thing built for C10 Nationals in 40 days, which somehow Garrett was able to pull it off. You know, we got it down there, even put it on the dyno. Now Garrett drove this truck for almost 2 years after that, but it was just not the way he wanted it to be, so here it is again, you know, blown to a million pieces. So I thought, hey, what a great time to talk about building these old C10s, you know. Should you do it on a budget, or should you build it the right way or the way you want it the first time? That way you're not spending money twice.
Well, like you said, Chad, I did drive this truck. I probably put 1,500 miles on it. My kids came with me all the time in this thing. And that's the beauty of building something and then driving it, is you can figure out what the shortcomings are of it. And there were quite a few. Honestly, it's a very, very good truck. Drove really nice. Yeah. It was very smooth. I could let go of the wheel and it would just track. And that's just Garrett alignment going on right there. I got lucky.
Yeah, well, I know the 3 on the tree wasn't your favorite, and the engine was good. You built it yourself and everything, and it just, I remember when it hit the dyno, you're like,
I liked that torque number.
Just didn't quite have the horsepower that he's used to and all that. So again, once you build these things, if you have a mission, you know, with Forrest, it's all budget, you know. So I'm gonna have to stick with that because that's the mission of that truck. But there's a lot of things where I'm like, ooh, do I really want to be cheap on this part of the truck? And probably not. You know, I'll probably blow the budget on certain things just because that's not what I want. There are some certain factors of the trucks that you need to be spending the money on, and some things you can be cheap with. But again, I think you'll be surprised when you see where it began to what it is today.
Where it is now. It's gonna be a lot different. All right, so the cab, let's start with the front here. Obviously, you can see that I've stripped some of the paint off, and this kind of looks different right here. Well, these old things, they're hot during the summer, and we drive this, and so I want air conditioning. So vintage air is going in this. I went ahead and burned in the actual plate for it just to make it look a little bit cleaner. Trying to go through as well and get rid of a bunch of the holes that are within this, because these old trucks are loud too. So any hole that I can fill with metal is just going to be a better end result. So to go along with several other changes, we're going to go from 3 on the tree to an automatic transmission. And that means that a hole like this right here where the clutch rod and stuff came through, well, it's not needed anymore. A lot of sound, a lot of debris, a lot of stuff gets through that hole. So any hole that I can fill is going to be a good thing. I'm actually going to put in the step type emergency brake deal. I didn't really like the lever type at my knees. I was afraid, let's say we did get in an accident. Well, my knees are just going to go straight into that and it's going to hurt. And then we're also going to put in the later style cable-driven accelerator pedal. So I don't need the rod anymore as well. As we move on to the side of this, this is a door that Chad and I found over at the truck farm. And it was 503, or at least it had been resprayed, some version of 503, but it's not a perfect match to this cab. It was the paint code or whatever they did whenever they resprayed this was just not right. And it bothers the heck out of me. What I put on the rockers matches what the existing is a heck of a lot closer. So I'm gonna more or less strip this down, repaint it, maybe distress it a little bit, just to make it look better. The other thing are these wing windows. And we never rebuilt any of the rubber or anything like that on those wing windows. So we need to rebuild these because there's a lot of wind noise that comes through. Well, if it's not obvious, we're getting rid of the gas tank on the inside as well. It wasn't that it was a huge deal with the gas tank in there. It didn't make a ton of noise, but you would get whiffs. You know, it's got the vented cap, and if I have the window down because I don't have air conditioning, I get whiffs of it within the cab. So we're moving that. Another thing, we're gonna change the cluster face. I realize this is original to this truck, but with the new updated wiring kit, it makes these not correct. And if you remember when we put this in, we put, gosh, was it the wipers or the lights or something in a different spot? and I get confused on the road trying to figure out what it is, and I end up ripping the dang knob off. So we're gonna get that back to, it'll just be the later model type. As you look back here, this is where the gas tank was. We put sound deadening on the bottom, but I didn't put any on the back, so I'm going to put a whole bunch on the back. This thing is pretty darn loud going through or down the street, so anything I can do to quiet this down is going to be helpful. I've already gone through, I got rid of the clutch pedal. It's just a deal that you have to pop it out on the inside, so I'm able to actually use my existing brake pedal, but we're also changing the column. This one's going to have a tilt column within it, and it's going to be set up for automatic on the column.
All right, so one thing, this cab's not floating. You know, he spent money on some tools that cost more than my last truck. So what do you got there?
I got toys, guys. This thing is a good old rotisserie, and this is not the first vehicle that's been on this. I've actually been working on my 57 Chevy on this rotisserie, but it sure is nice to be able to twirl this bad boy and do stuff. I twirled this around and just redid the whole bottom side of the vehicle because it looked terrible, and I felt really bad about sticking that on this really good chassis. This is the chassis from that other C10 that you saw Chad and I part out. So this is an actual coil spring chassis, and I prefer coil spring chassis. A lot of people like the leaf springs. I hated it. Had wheel hop really bad if I was going to spin the tires on the others, and I hate traction bars because they hang down forever and they look stupid. So we're going with this setup, and I mean, I have stripped this down, shortened it to a short bed. Oh yeah, we're making her a short bed. Chad, let's start at the back here. So gas tank is now in the back. I've rebuilt this whole differential inside and out, changing everything over to 5-lug. This is the original 12 bolt that came with that chassis, but the 373 gear that was in it was just absolutely toast. It had so much rust on it, there was no way that I could use it, and it wasn't the right gear ratio that I was going to have. So I got a Yukon limited slip, put that in, Yukon axles, put that in, rebuilt all of the brakes, and then put a 307 gear in it because I want to drive this down the highway. We also put 5-inch drop springs back here. Changed out this front center section right here for one of the CPP units that moves these up and helps the pinion angle, especially whenever you lower these trucks. Plus it's got spots for your exhaust to go through. So I'm going to make a full custom exhaust for this that's really kind of tucked in there, and that'll help. As we move to the front here, this is that 383 stroker that I got from Summit way back in the day. And then I had a Turbo 350 that was plopped in here as well, hence the 307 gear. Well, then Marketplace hit, and I found a really good 700 R4 that was ready to go and perfect for this application. So I stuck the 700 R4 in there, but I knew that I would not be happy with that 307 gear. So I pulled it back out and I put a 342 into it. So I think that's going to be a perfect, I don't know, in-between gear that will still get me down the road pretty quickly, but also help with the gas mileage on this. The full front has been rebuilt with 5-lug disc brakes. I've got 1-inch drop springs in there with 2.5-inch drop spindles. So we're going to have a 3.5-inch drop in the front and a 5-inch drop in the back. So the wheels and tires are changing, obviously, because it was a 6-lug and now it's a 5-lug. So these are US Mags Ramblers. I think they have a pretty nice classic look. They're 18s. What is this? A 255 in the front and a 295 in the back. So we're going to have meat under this. I know everyone goes with 20-inch rims, but I wanted a little bit more tire section here so that my ride was a little bit better. Kind of gives you the modern look, but still a really good ride. So on the front of this, honestly, it's in really nice shape. At least on the surface, it looks like it's in really nice shape. These inner fenders do have a lot of the typical rust, which is right down in there. At some point, there's been some blown tires that have kind of wrinkled the back sides of them, so I went ahead, and right over here, you'll see that I have brand new inner fenders for it, and a battery tray. And then as I was getting ready to start taking all of this stuff apart, I noticed just how bad my core support was. So I bought a new core support as well. And then I was at the swap meet with Chad and I saw this brand new grill that was there. And it was just a price that I had to do it. So I bought a grill and then I had to buy the headlight buckets for it. And then if that's looking good, then I've got to go ahead and get new stainless to go all along the whole edge there. And then that turns into brand new GMC and then new side emblems. Am I going to paint this car, Chad? No, only the stuff that needs to be painted will be painted. It needs to have that distressed look, but all of the other stuff, including a brand spanking new front bumper, are going to go on this.
Dollar, dollar. All right, so you probably remember from the previous video of us going to Outlaw Metalworks. Well, we took Garrett's bedsides down there too. He cut his floor on his own, and so far everything's somewhat kind of fit together.
Mostly. This side seems to be really good. The other side where we patched in the other, I guess, back of another bed, it's, I don't know, an eighth to a quarter shorter than probably what it should be. So we're working through that, but realistically, I'm going to have to temporarily put this together, get the cab back onto the chassis, fit this back on, and just make sure everything looks right. If it doesn't, it's going to get expensive.
Yeah. So the plan is hopefully to go through, once we get it back off, rust treat the whole bottom side of it, get it back on together, and then we're going to go through and Raptor line at least the interior of the bed. That'll help hide some of the, he's gone with the bigger wheel tubs to get those 295s in there as well. So hopefully everything goes together. I think it'll be fine, and if it's not, then he's buying a new bed, and then we're undoing everything for the third time, and we'll have a brand new truck.
Then we might as well just paint the whole thing.
But
I don't want that. That's the point of this, is to have this old paint and everything else can be brand new or really, really good, so that I can drive the truck and not feel bad about parking in a parking lot.
So really what we should have done was just took the whole truck to Eric, drove it in, had him cut it down to the whole thing to a short bed. Next week, picked it up, and we're like, we're done. Let's go.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
There's a lot more problems than that.
You want more problems than that. All right, so what's the learning lesson from this video? You know, it's tough. You know, when you buy these trucks, one little change can cascade into, well, what happened to Garrett, and you kind of have to have a baseline to know what you want. Is that kind of how you feel?
It's hard because this truck started as one thing, and that was its purpose. But as time went on, and I realized that it wasn't, I guess my purpose changed. You know, the mission changed with the truck. Originally, I was thinking about maybe getting rid of my Duramax, and then I would just use this to have fun with, haul stuff in and whatnot. Well, I'll never get rid of the Duramax. It pulls too nice. So then I don't need this to be that. I would like it to be something better. And especially if we're going to be building trucks and whatnot. Again, this guy's going to build a lot of them. I'm going to build one. So I want it to be what I want it to be. You'll notice I'm not doing a lot of paint work with this. I love the patina look on this, which makes it to where I'm not afraid to drive it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the big thing. I mean, at one point, we had even mentioned him selling it. It was just, things change quickly, and, you know, it's Squirrel, different car, 57 Chevy, you know, we got all these different projects, but you keep coming back to, hey, that started with this thing. It became a little bit sentimental at that point, too. So, again, I don't have any problems, you know. It starts as one thing, and that's probably why it took so long with Forrest, was hoarding all the parts, but the direction changed 15 times. Luckily, I hadn't started on it at that point, so it didn't really bite me in the butt yet. But again, I have a direction, but I know it'll change because I'll put a little bit more money into certain aspects that'll hurt the budget, but I don't want to do it within the budget just to change it as soon as we get done with the build. So that's
going to be the hard part. And I can already see some certain things with Forrest that I guarantee is going to change after the fact. But again, he'll get some miles on that truck, enjoy that truck for a while, and then, like I said, I guarantee there's going to be a couple things. The big thing is try not to get it to the point of this, where you completely blow the thing apart again.
Yeah.
This is pretty extensive at this point. So, like if you have, the beauty is I did all of the rust repair on this the first time. I did all of the wiring on this the first time. I don't have to redo any of that stuff. The interior is in pretty nice shape. So I'm gonna probably leave that too. Or maybe I won't. I don't know, maybe we have something special cooked up for what's gonna go in there.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'd say pen to paper, you know, don't get in a rush to get this build done. You know, we did it for C10 Nationals, which was fun, but if we would have planned it out a little bit more long term, you know, maybe we wouldn't have to do things twice. But just, that's my biggest recommendation, is don't get in that rush. Collect the parts that you want, and that way if you do buy the parts and you decide to go a different direction, you can resell them or take them back as well before you install them, and then that's not what you want. But follow along with us, because we're not done. Obviously, it's still in a million pieces, and we got to get this thing all back together. And we'll go through and give the final video. It'll never be final. But
No, it'll never be final, but it'll be fun. That's really what it comes down to. The other thing that he was saying is maybe delay doing what you're going to do on the truck. I have a different opinion on that. I'm really glad that we got this truck going, because then it told me what I wanted at that point. Or, you know, a lot of what you want is dependent upon your budget. And at that point, I decided I've got the budget to do this. If you don't, this was a perfectly good truck that you could drive around in. We got thumbs ups and looks and smiles everywhere that we went with a old long bed pickup.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But I mean, with him being indecisive in things, it helped me. You know, Forrest is a budget build partially because of him, because all the stuff he's not using now, I got a good deal on. So.
Yep. It works.
Oh, well, if you guys haven't, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow along, because the GMC, you got to give this thing a name. It bothers me.
It's
that I just
the GMC.
It needs something better than that. Well, we appreciate your time, and thanks for watching. I hit record.
I hope so.
You were a civil engineer before, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I mean, nothing sketch about that. That's just perfectly okay.
Several things that are going to be...
Loser! Tucking your panties in your...
But I've got to make something to...
All right, so you need...